You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Our second hour of coverage on the latest in the severe weather situation in the central United States. Tornado warning, as we just saw at the tail end of that hour, for El Reno, Kingfisher, Okosh, I think it is, in Oklahoma until 3:45 p.m. With more on that, I think, is Hank.
Yeah, so this cell I was briefly discussing at some point in the hour and that we just started to get to. This has been tornado warned. It has since passed north of El Reno, so El Reno is getting into clear right now. You could see that there is a bit of a hook forming on this really, I mean, if I just look at this real quick, it's a pretty small cell right here. This is what we've been talking about all day. Like we saw with that Richland Springs cell, it's not going to take much for some of these to really start wrapping up into these small hook echoes that can drop tornadoes relatively quickly and without much notice. So this little hook right here, not the best defined hook we've ever seen by any means, but still could be a tornado on the ground. Pretend as it is such. This thing is moving essentially due north, straight towards Okarche and up towards Kingfisher as well, just clearing El Reno, and should be moving up eventually towards Dover and Hennessy, assuming that the cell is able to hold together. And again, this one might not look particularly menacing compared to some of these out here, but remember, it doesn't really take the strongest cell to produce a tornado. Tornadoes come from cells. It's relative. It doesn't come from all the strongest cells. It comes from the cells that have the best rotation to them, and sometimes that's not the best cell. That is not the. Let me rephrase. Usually isn't the cell with the best presentation on radar imagery. Sometimes the smaller cells could be the ones with tornadoes, and the bigger ones could just be really big hail and wind makers. Who knows? Sometimes it just works like that.
All right, in this hour we're joined by David, obviously Hank, who's just been speaking. Ryan and Max is also here for this hour. Hello.
Hello.
Good to be here.
David, a confirmed tornado is just...
Yes, Daniel Shaw, nice.
This is a confirmed tornado.
Yep.
4 miles west of Paducah, Texas.
Yeah, that hook right there has become a lot better defined since the end of that hour right there. Velocity values on that, let's see, that's about 75 miles an hour. So that's so we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground heading towards Paducah. Take your tornado precautions there that we listed out earlier. And if you weren't here for that, it's just get to the lowest level of your home, get away from mobile phones in your car. Lowest level of sturdy structure, interior room, like bathroom or closet or something, away from windows and exterior walls. Do something to protect your head. This isn't the strongest of tornadoes right here, but just pretend like it is, just in case it is stronger than the radar is indicating. So, again, just can't speak. Use those precautions that I just listed out, and you should make it through this just fine, assuming that it is not the strongest tornado we've ever observed on the planet, which it very likely is not.
So those tornado warnings have been updated there in Texas as well, but they're still the very same areas, really, the same cells that we were talking about. So we've got 3 tornado events right now, is that, or is it more?
There's 3 individual areas with tornado warnings right now. The cells near Richland Springs and Paducah, the cell to the northeast of Cheyenne, and the one moving north of El Reno right now. The 3 tornado warned clusters right now.
Let's pick up on some more questions that were put through just before the end of the last hour. What is your opinion on the issuance of a 45% tornado risk, which obviously happened, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so the 45% risk was issued by the Storm Protection Center, and that is the first time one of those has been issued since April 14th of 2012. That specific outbreak dropped 83 tornadoes, one of which was an EF4 that moved through the community of Woodward. I'm sure those people still remember that night very well. And that was a very significant tornado outbreak and the biggest one that year. And since then, really, this is going to be the biggest outbreak either since then or maybe even the biggest since 2011. We don't know. And the way this is all shaping up is it will likely be one of these big days that we look back on as that day that dropped this tornado. We won't know what this tornado is until the event's over. We just won't know. But what we do know is that this is likely to be one of those days.
There it is on the map, that 45% area. Quite a large one as well. I mean, I don't know what a typical size would be, because this isn't really a typical situation, is it?
Nope.
So that's what we're looking at, and this is looking at a few of the local National Weather Service offices there as we're just going through. Obviously that massive high potential for severe weather over a large chunk of the areas that we're already seeing starting to be affected right now, and that will push further towards the northeast.
Yeah, and speaking of SPC outlooks, the Storm Prediction Center just issued their new outlook. We'll see what they're saying as I get more information.
Let me pull that up really quickly for you there.
It was just issued like 3 minutes ago, so it's probably not going to update quite yet, though. It's still a high risk, clearly, though.
Yeah.
So
No, it's updated for me. Yeah, it just
it has.
I feel like it just extended the high risk just a bit. Oh, actually, wait, why is this not?
Yeah, it hasn't
Okay,
updated yet.
Okay, yeah, this one hasn't updated yet. My bad. It'll update pretty soon. I'm just assuming that it'll just expand some of the threats for wind and hail. I don't think the actual high risk itself is going to be adjusted really, because I feel like this is kind of solidified right now.
Whole bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings coming out. One quite further towards the west over there in Texas, covering Loop and Welsh until 4:15. That's an interesting anomaly, and extending further north as well, Hank, I think.
For which cell?
Just a general severe thunderstorm warnings extending north, and one outlier towards the west, I believe, near New Mexico.
Yeah, there is a severe thunderstorm warned cell to the north of Midland and Odessa. Actually, two really. Just to the west of La Mesa and towards the east of Seminole, moving towards the north up here. And these are this. Let's see if there's any. That looks suspicious to me. Let me check to see if there's anything. And not really much of any rotation on that one. But these are probably producing some pretty significant hail and some strong winds as well as these progress probably towards the west of La Mesa and then continue up towards the north towards Brownfield, Tahoka, and eventually maybe up towards Lubbock. But we'll see on exactly how those evolve. It looks like it may just pass to the west of Lubbock towards Ropesville, Smyre, and Levelland, but we'll see exactly on the evolution of those. That's kind of an outlier here. Right now, some of these cells, again, even farther south into areas around Midland, Odessa, and the I-20 corridor. Some of these cells down here could pop up and they could go severe. They won't be as significant as what you're going to see off towards the northeast, but there's still could be some pretty significant thunderstorms, possibly severe in this area, as the SPC did outline this parts of this portion of the country underneath that area of enhanced and moderate and even some points high risk of severe weather. So we'll see on exactly how some of these cells evolve, but again, the main action is going up towards your northeast.
Tornado warning continues for Motley County, Texas until 3:30 p.m. There was a question that came in just now, not so long ago. What are the chances of Oklahoma City tornado chances?
Well, you're under both a 45% chance of a significant tornado and a high risk, so very high. Not to say that the chances of a EF5 tornado ripping right through downtown are 100%. No, that's not the case. What a 45% chance of significant tornadoes means is that anywhere within a 25-mile radius, there is a 45% chance of an anywhere between EF2 and EF5 tornado. That's scary. I know, it is. but it doesn't mean that everywhere in that 45% risk is going to get something. You may not get anything at all. It's possible, but it's just that the chances are higher that one of those cells is going to move through. And even if you don't get a tornado, you're still likely to get severe weather. You're probably gonna get hail at some point or another. Even if a tornado is in your vicinity but not moving towards you, there's likely going to be some severe weather associated with it, especially if you're to the north and to the east of where the tornado is. If you're to the northeast of where the tornado is, you need to start getting into shelter because that thing is likely coming towards you. But if you're in the surrounding areas, then you're probably still going to see severe weather. Hail, winds in excess of 60, 65 miles an hour, gusting up to hurricane force or higher. And this hail could be as high as or as big as 2 inches in diameter, which can cause serious damage to not just your car, but structures, to agriculture, to loads of things. Anything that isn't protected by a roof of some kind, it is likely going to be damaged in some way if there's hail that large. Winds can do damage. I'm pretty sure that one's a bit more obvious. High winds can cause some significant damage. And of course, tornadoes and the risk of flash flooding. This is something that I mentioned earlier last hour.
Yeah.
There's not just a high risk of severe weather for Oklahoma City. There's a high risk of flash flooding because some of these cells may start to train over some of these areas. Like you can look out here. This is just an example right here. You can see this one cell over here south of Ceiling that's moving off towards northeast, but there's another cell about equally as strong moving into that same area that will likely be producing pretty similar rain rates. So once you have these cells training over the same area, you can have some pretty significant rainfall totals stack up in a very short period of time. And the ground just simply can't absorb that much water, so it just all goes into runoff, especially because some of these soils out here are already pretty saturated from all the rains that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. So because of that, you may see some pretty quick flash flooding, and that could be a result of some of the damage, or could be some of the damage comes from the flash flooding, and especially from areas. The high risk for flash flooding is highlighted from basically the Oklahoma City metro over towards Tulsa and over towards the borders with surrounding states towards the east. So it's not really the high risk area for severe weather that is the same for the high risk area of flooding, but it's kind of inverted just a little bit, and that's mostly going to be in association with those training cells and with the overnight squall line that will come through in portions of Oklahoma and up towards Kansas as well.
David, any
Also,
information for us? I'm sorry.
Nothing, Nathan.
Okay, was that Ryan or Max?
it was me.
That
If
was
you look
Max.
to that center warning, you can also see a very well pronounced hook echo, if I'm not mistaken.
On which cell?
That warning in the isolated warning, and it was sort of in the very center of the screen.
You mean the one north of El Reno? I'm just going to assume that's the one he's talking about. If so, then yeah, that's a pretty defined hook echo, and the velocity values on that one have actually gotten a bit better defined over time, though it does appear that it's going to move east of Ocharkey and up towards the east of Kingfisher as well. So these areas might be in the clear for this particular cell right here, but you might not be in the clear later on. Again, this is just the beginning of what's likely going to be a very widespread and long-lived event for this portion of the country.
Yep. Just slightly quiet over here because we're trying to get the new SPC graphics, which should appear on the stream within the next minute. I have seen the changes, although I don't think there's a massive change, but my eyes might be failing me. There might be some extension in the northwest.
No, there's no major changes, at least from what I've observed.
No, the only change really
was
was
the same
just
as it was.
Yeah, the only change was really just backing up the slight risk area further to the east to account for the event kind of ending in portions of far, far western Texas. So that's really the only difference, really, with this most recent SPC outlook. You can kind of see that right here on my screen. You see the high risk and all that wasn't even budged. It's just the slight risk area is kind of nudged a bit farther to the east, just to accompany the fact that the storms are clearing this area relatively quick. That's essentially it.
Yep, and there is the tornado probability, the 10% chance. Shifting, well, I don't know if it's shifted east, but it just extends further east into, I think it was Missouri, and my states are terrible, Arkansas, I think it was. And this is a look through all of those local National Weather Service offices with those local maps there as well, so you can see just geographically where those tornado watches and warnings are, and those orange areas, severe thunderstorm warnings. There's quite a lot of those out right now, and it's, I mean, this is just, you know, the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? Still. How long will we be saying that for? Oh, you got a tropical update, Hank?
Yeah, I was just checking up on this because I just kind of remembered it. Looks like there is a bit of a wind shift here. There do appear to be, interestingly enough, there do appear to be some. Okay, well that just went away. That's annoying. I hate it when it does that. Oh, and even another update now showing winds now in the southern quadrants. Interesting, of 22 knots. So that means that up here, there could be some winds up in these northern quadrants up here that have even stronger values. And it looks like there's some pretty good. Yeah, it looks like there may be a closed low here now. So it is possible that we do have a subtropical depression forming in the Atlantic Ocean right now. Just looking at raw recon data, it's still kind of early, and they haven't flown through the actual center. They haven't gotten a center fix yet, but it is possible that there is a subtropical depression currently in the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not now. Don't take that verbatim because that might easily just be a bit too broad. But we'll just have to wait and see what recon finds if they fly through this little area right here. That's really going to tell where and how strong this system is right now. And we'll occasionally check back into this, but again, this right here, a lot more important.
Yes, I've just been completely thrown off what I was going to do next here. David, you've got some reports over there, haven't you? No? I'm not sure. I saw David post somewhere that conditions becoming pretty bad in some areas.
I think you left.
Okay then, well, that was David. Well, we're continuing to look over this. No new tornado warnings at this time. We've still got, I think, the 3 that's currently out there.
Yeah, I think it's just the 3. The one that is currently just to the north of El Reno, and then the 2 in Texas. The one that had the confirmed. I don't know if it's still confirmed as the. Yeah, I believe that the cell that's near Paducah is still confirmed, has a confirmed tornado on it, and then there's the one just to the west of that one that's starting to enter that tornado warning that was initially issued for the Paducah cell.
Yeah, I'll just really quickly. I am just now noticing that there is another tornado warning that I believe has not been mentioned yet, just to the north of Escalating here in portions of the southeastern Texas Panhandle that's about to move into Oklahoma right now. This has probably just been issued. This is to the north of those twin cells, down to the south of it, to the south of Childress. This one's to the north. Velocity values on this one aren't really all that impressive. I mean, let's see. It looks a little better in that most recent frame.
Thankfully, only 9 people are in that tornado warned zone.
Well, okay, I guess we can. Okay, that's not many people. Wow,
I've got a
hearing myself.
tornado warning in Oklahoma north of I-40 and well east of the El Reno one.
There's nothing east. There's no warnings east of El Reno right now.
Oh, sorry, west. West.
Well, which one? There's like 10.
I know I've got one north of I-40, still in Oklahoma.
The one near Leadley?
I'm not sure. Only a few cities are outlined on this particular.
Okay, so yeah, there's the cell near Toluga and north of Putnam right now. Is that what you're referring to?
The one I have is in Oklahoma, north of I-40, and well to the west of the El Reno one.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're discussing this one right here, the one near Tuga. Yeah, this one's probably got some not a major hail core, I wouldn't imagine, but yeah, it had something go actually right over Toluga. That's a pretty intense, but right now it's not a particularly strong hail core. There is one though to the north of the tornado warned cell, north of El Reno, that has a strengthening hail core right now, moving through the Carrier, North End, Enid, and eventually up towards Kremlin and Hunter. This is severe. This is severe warned right now as well. And this one is going to be moving through those communities I just mentioned. Probably with that one, what is that? That's about 60 kilograms per square meter. So that's probably about an inch to an inch and a half sized hail right there with that. So that can cause some pretty significant damage if you're in that area right there. And then obviously the cell towards the south is tornado warned. There could be a tornado with that one. It's still kind of tough to say, but it is possible. And if anything, this hook is getting better defined, at least velocity signature is. The difference in that one's about 65 miles per hour. So that's probably, at least if it's on the ground, it's an EF0 or EF1 tornado that's progressing off towards the north and northeast right now, to the east of Orchaki and Kingfisher, and will move west of Cashin, and then probably up towards Cimarron City and Crescent over the next several minutes, up and probably in the next half hour to 45 minutes it'll be in those areas.
All right, we got a new tornado warning. This is in Texas. This is just to the north of the two cells that we're currently watching down there.
I think this is the one that we just discussed north of Escalating.
Yeah.
Says that it's 10 miles east of Memphis.
Oh.
East of Memphis. Okay. Yeah. That looks about right. Memphis is right here. So yeah, it's probably about. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Yep, about 10 miles east of Memphis right now. There's also, is that a? I thought that was a.
That did look interesting for a minute.
Yeah, that did look like another couplet to the right northeast of Memphis there. Let's see what the velocity signatures on that one are. 45, 50 miles an hour right there on that one. It's a little bit spread out though, so I wouldn't imagine that there is actually something on the ground with that. It's not tornado warned yet, so I would imagine no, but that's still an interesting feature right there. Trying to see if you'll see that other tornado warned cell that is to the east of Matador has been canceled. The ones north of Paducah still going. Let's see how the velocity signatures on that one are going right now. Not as well defined. Let's see, about 50 miles an hour right there. That's honestly, that probably isn't on the ground, but it's going to be. If it is on the ground, it is a very weak tornado. A weak EF0 at that, if that is on the ground. But still, any tornado is obviously something to take seriously, but it's not the biggest thing we've ever seen, and won't ever get there. See, also, I just realized my velocity data is out of date. That's fantastic. Only by a couple minutes, though. Is that a flash flood warning? Yeah, it's a flash flood warning now for eastern Kansas. I hadn't even seen that. I didn't even think about that, honestly. I can see why. There's a pretty... that cell's been training. It appears over this area. The radar kind of jostles around. That's kind of odd. But yeah, some cells training up through this portion of Kansas right here includes... let me just go ahead and tell you the information on that. It expires at 8:15 Central Daylight Time. It's in effect for eastern Wilson County, western Labette, Neresho County, Montgomery County, and southern Allen County. All these are in southeastern Kansas right here. So take your flash flood precautions if you're in that area, because Doppler radar has indicated thunderstorms producing very heavy rain. Up to 2 inches may have already fallen, and flash flooding is expected shortly. this will be one of probably multiple flash flood warnings we'll get throughout the course of the night.
This is the first one that's come in over 3 hours actually, and I think it's the only one that is now relevant. Here it is on the screen. Quite a large area, quite a lot of places that are covered. Not a huge population, but it's still 67,000 there in southeastern Kansas. Yeah, a lot of locations there.
I'm just reading through some comments, see if anything is. So mostly just talking about 90L.
If we get news, we'll show you. But if any of our other members in our live room right now want to put up a satellite imagery loop of 90L, that would be quite nice as well. It's probably the only chance that we'll get to see it right now.
I got it up on my screen actually right now.
I thought you might have had enough going on, Hank.
I have like 30 tabs open. So that's the visible loop of it right now. I mean, not really a whole lot I can say, honestly. It's just it's classic subtropical-ish development going on in the preseason. Upper low to the east, providing forcing for this. It's becoming better to organize over time. Recon data, I imagine much more else too. Oh, wow. Actually, I take that back. 33 knot winds at the flight level. That's 38 miles an hour. That is... Actually, no. I take that back. Gale force winds have been observed at the flight level. No, that's not at the surface, though. So there's probably 35 mile an hour winds at the surface. Just based on what the plane has observed right now. And everything here is basically saying that there is a closed low. Broad, but closed. So we'll see exactly how all this evolves. We could easily have some tropical depression on our hands, but honestly, who cares?
Terrible.
And let's get back to
tornado
all this.
warnings continue for Kirkland, Swearingen, and Childress County in Texas. The first two being place names, the last one being the county, of course. The former two places till 4 p.m., the latter till 3:45. Both radar indicated tornadoes there, and I'm sure they're both on your screen now. Yep.
Yeah, this is just an extension of the one that was to the north of Paducah. This one's going to be moving just to the southeast of Childress, and we'll be moving into southwestern Oklahoma within at least an hour or so. We'll be crossing the Red River into Oklahoma right here. And then this other cell, I think that's a new severe thunderstorm warning right there, to the northwest of the bigger one, I guess.
You can certainly start to see a line establishing now, though.
Yeah, and a new tornado warning was just issued as an extension of the one to the east of Memphis.
Wellington
this one
and Luty.
Yeah, this one's in effect until 4:15 Central Time. Let's see. Yeah, for Wellington and Luty, Texas. And this will be progressing off towards the northeast, and this is nothing confirmed, but again, pretend it's confirmed, just based off of the setup we have today, just pretend it's confirmed. Yeah, this is probably going to be, if not a tornado, that's definitely going to be some very large hail in there, probably baseball-sized hail with this cell right here going and moving into Wellington. So, again, baseball-sized hail, that can cause some serious damage to pretty much any structure that's not exposed, that is exposed to the outside world, I guess. Yeah, that's going to be some pretty significant wind damage.
Is Houston, Texas going to be affected by this?
Houston is not in the area that will be impacted by this particular event. There will be a little bit of a line of storms that will be extending farther off towards the south. In fact, I could probably show you the models here on one of these tabs. Yeah, there we go. So this is just one model here. You can see that that once we get into tomorrow morning, there will be a bit of a line extending into Texas. The farthest south it will get will be into the Austin area, but it will probably not get into the Houston area. There may be some showers tomorrow, but it won't be anything like what we're seeing right now. So Houston, you're in the clear today, and tomorrow you're fine, really. I mean, if we look at any of the outlooks, you're not under any of them. So yeah, I wouldn't. This is today's outlook, or no, this is tomorrow's actually. I don't even know. It's not loading, so who knows. But rest assured, you're not in the outlook today, so don't worry about it. Though if you do have anyone who has interest in this area, who lives in this area even, just check on them, because there is likely going to be something that comes through or near their area. So just make sure that they are safe and that they get out of this all right.
It's 8:30 UTC. That means that in Central Time, that makes it at 3:30. New severe thunderstorm warnings 3 minutes ago for Canton, Longdale, and Oakwood, Oklahoma. Also 3 minutes ago, Floyd County, Texas. And 2 minutes ago, Clarendon, Howard-Wick, and Ashtola, Texas. And 2 more that have just come in the last minute for Turkey, Flomont, and Cedar Hill, Texas. And in the last minute here, Vigo Park until 3:45. So a lot of new severe thunderstorm warnings, a lot of them neighbouring each other there, that have come up in the last few minutes.
Yeah, and I just saw one pop up real quick to the east of Tulia here. This was a town that was hit pretty hard by a previous outbreak. I forget which one. There's been like 20.
So it was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so that was a town that was hit pretty hard by this. This cell is moving just to the east of there, and then we'll be moving off towards northeast into a pretty sparsely populated area southeast of Amarillo. So then it will move up into this portion, and then towards the Howard, Wick, and Clarendon area around the areas just south of I-40. So that cell will be moving in that general direction. There's 2 other cells here that were just severe warned, one near Turkey and one near Florida. Nathan mentioned those earlier. And then this other cell, I don't know if this has also been mentioned, the one south of Lubbock, has also had a severe thunderstorm warning extended, because that's increased in coverage right there. Yeah, this is all moving towards the the west of La Mesa, and then we'll be moving up towards the east of O'Donnell, Tahoka, up towards New Home, and eventually up towards Lubbock. Possibly this little cell right here could be moving up into the Lubbock downtown area, possibly within the next hour and a half. There's already a little bit of a more of a rain shower, really, maybe a weak thunderstorm moving into Lubbock right now, but that isn't nearly as strong as what's farther off towards the south.
An extension to one of those tornado warnings now.
Yeah,
Yep,
I just saw that. Again, radar coverage isn't the best here, but this one does include Childress right there.
Yep.
And will be, let's see, velocity values on that one. Let's see, that's pretty strong out of the whatever direction. It's off towards the west there, but then that's about 60-ish miles per hour. So again, probably another little cell forming there, but it is looking like it's becoming better defined as well as it moves off towards the northeast. So Childress, you're under a tornado warning. Start to take those precautions. You have a little bit of time, but just make sure you're in place once you start getting more significant rainfall. That's when you get into shelter, because that is going to be when that little couplet right there is approaching. It might not hit you. It probably won't, but just in case it does, get in shelter. Lots of severe thunderstorm warnings right now.
Yeah,
oh my
new
God.
one just coming out for Welsh. That was already under something not so long ago. That's to the southwest there. That's till 4:15. But really, not many new ones that are coming up just now. There were a few minutes ago. We've covered all of those, and there is your picture on Hank's screen right now, the radar, showing everything that's going on. Mainly Texas still, but a few of them in Oklahoma now.
Yeah, and all these cells will be progressing off towards the east, and there will be cells in this portion of Oklahoma by the evening hour. By, say, 5, 6 o'clock, we'll probably have much wider coverage of these tornadic supercells across Oklahoma, particularly southwestern Oklahoma, and then up towards maybe the northwest Texas near Wichita Falls. We'll probably be seeing much more activity, and then we'll get towards Oklahoma City, probably closer towards 7, 8 o'clock tonight is when the Oklahoma City Metro will be getting in on more of the action, and then over towards the I-35 corridor as well, not just Oklahoma City, and then farther south, possibly as far south as Abilene, and possibly the Dallas-Fort Worth area, though that seems unlikely. But we'll see exactly. The supercells won't be going through Dallas-Fort Worth. That's going to be the overnight a squall line. That will be the biggest event for Dallas, but maybe some cells may try and pop up as far south as Abilene, and maybe some maybe as far north as, say, parts of the Oklahoma-Kansas border. It's tough to say, but up here, it's up in Kansas again. The atmosphere is more stable, as you saw earlier. It's just a bunch of rain up in this area because the atmosphere is more stable and cooler, so it's not as ripe for tornadoes to spin up, and it's just a lot more like globular, like it's all come together. I believe that was another tornado warning issued for that one couplet we saw just a little bit earlier.
We just got a tornado warning. This includes, well, let me get the cities up here. This would include Crescent, Marshall, Mulhall, Cimarron City, Orlando, and Lovell. This is for northeastern Kingfisher and northwestern Logan counties in Oklahoma. That is a new one that is to the north of Oklahoma City. Now a confirmed tornado with it 7 miles northwest of Cashion.
Yeah, this was the cell that was previously north of El Reno. That has a much better signature to that. That's probably about 90 miles an hour on the couplet right there. That's going to be moving towards the west of Cimarron City and Crescent over the next several minutes.
Developing hook echo I saw in that cell.
That's the one that we were just discussing, yes.
So that's an observed tornado there, golf ball sized hail possible.
We have another observed tornado too. The one that is what is this one here? It's in Texas. Kirkland
Texas.
And swearing in that one. The one near Kirkland that is currently 7 miles southwest of Kirkland. Spotters have indicated a tornado at 3:30 p.m.
See, Kirkland. Was this the cell that was near that's near Headley and Quail, or is this the one that's farther off towards the south?
Currently, this is for southeastern Childress and northeastern Connell counties.
Okay, so this is going to be this cell right here.
Yep.
That's interesting. I'm not really seeing any couplet with that one. Let me change radar, see if that changes. Okay, a little bit. Radar is not best of quality, and that's a pretty... I don't really see that... okay, maybe that's it right there.
Could be.
But that's outside the watch area, or the warning area, so I'm not sure. That's strange. Maybe it's just the radar, but right here also I can see this... There's another little couplet right here in this cell that was just the southeast of Memphis. And this is going to be... if I can get the cities up there. There we go. Yeah, this is the one that was going to be moving up towards Wellington. And then this little other couplet that I was briefly talking about earlier. This is a pretty weak one, but it's going to be moving up towards the Quail and Sumner Wood areas over the next, say, 30 minutes-ish. But this Childress one area, I'm just seeing this right here, but that's outside the warning area, so I'm not sure what exactly that's about. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. That's a bit strange.
Okay, do we have any tornadoes on the ground at this point?
Looks like it.
Yes.
Yes, we have 2 currently observed tornado warnings.
Well, there's more than 2 tornado warnings, but there's 2 confirmed tornadoes on the ground, and there's another warning that was just issued with the one that was just to the east of Kingfisher. This one includes the communities of Crescent, Marshall, Mulhall, Cimarron City, Orlando, and Lovell, and this is going to be moving off towards the northeast at a pretty quick rate, and it's getting a better defined hook echo over time, and that is about a difference of at least 90 to 95 miles an hour. So that's a pretty well-defined hook echo right there. Maybe an EF1 tornado associated with that. Ryan did say there is a confirmed tornado on the ground with that. So that is going to be a very significant cell that we're going to have to watch very closely. Not a whole lot of real estate in this area, but still going to be something that we need to watch. In this particular path, Crescent and Cimarron City, you're probably far enough away that you're not going to see direct impacts from this, but up towards Marshall, maybe a different story, and maybe in areas between Marshall and Orlando as well, maybe a different story with that one. Again, this is just the first of probably multiple tornado warnings we're going to see across this portion of Oklahoma, just given this really incredible setup we have today.
Yep. It is coming up to 20 to 4 Central Time. This is Force 13 Live. If you've got any questions for us, start your message with Force 13 in the YouTube chat if you're watching on there. And of course, you can follow our stream on our simulcasting Facebook page as well. David, are you there now?
I am here.
Has
Apology.
anything come through there?
National Weather Service. Where are we? National Weather Service Amarillo. Suspected tornado on the ground heading for Grail, Texas, and I had a outage on the Facebook stream, but we're operational back again on Facebook.
Well, if you've got any questions, those watching there as well, we're happy to take them too. We're everywhere. But this is the latest situation on your screen, and a situation that is continuing to develop. Not the only one out there today. The Atlantic at large is also something to watch, with a high chance of development for the Atlantic Invest 90L. And
God, I'm just looking at recon now. Oh Lord, what is that? Oh, 47 mile an hour flight level winds. That's about 40 miles an hour at the surface. Dear God. I don't know why it's going up in this direction. You need to go back towards. I don't know. Why are you going away? Go back.
Andrea?
Just go back towards the where the likely center is, because Okay, so yeah, there's definitely some maybe isolated gale force winds at the surface. But all we need to know at this point is if this center right here is actually closed or not. If it is, then we may have a named storm on our hands. If it's not, then we may have to wait a little bit. And even then, I mean, it's not going to be that significant because... Where's the tab? There's a tab. Because this is not really going to be impacting any land. It's just a neat feature, really, that I guess we cover because we talk about tropics. Yeah, we're not really talking about tropics today, but I guess we are, so who knows. So that's that's 90L right now. I'll check back on recon towards the break, and I guess we'll give you another update.
And don't forget the South Atlantic system.
If it's forgettable. Let's move on.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not even a system.
It's extra tropical at the very most.
It is terrible.
It's not even extra tropical. It's literally a front. They named a front.
Front Jaguar.
Give me a second.
Someone's going to answer their phone. Great. Yes. That's great etiquette for a live event. Okay, we got some more questions here. Can you show the jet stream and or relative humidity or anything else to show us what is fueling this tornado outbreak? Well...
Yeah, so the jet stream here, you will see in the upper levels, you can see this pretty pronounced shift right here in the winds. Right here you can see it coming out of the basically west right here, but then shifting up towards the north. That is in association with the upper low that is currently located over the Four Corners region, which is fueling all of this right now. Relative humidity values right here, this is all model indicated, but it's essentially what's going on right now. They're in the low 70s right now. That is oppressive, to say the least. That's very oppressive humidity right now. Even here, I'm in Central Texas, and outside it's muggy. It's terrible. And up north, it's even worse. Dew point values around 73, 74 degrees. It's very muggy out there. It feels like a sauna almost. Yeah, you don't want to be outside. It just feels terrible. And even then, like, the temperature itself is still pretty warm as well. It's in, say, the low 80s there, and it still feels really oppressive because your dew point and your temperature are really close, which means your humidity value is really high. So it's just not a comfortable day outside. It's just not that great. In terms of the other factors going into this event, very high Cape values. Very, very high Cape value. In fact, let me go to this really quickly here. I don't really like using this source that much, but it gives a better idea for the sounding. For this portion right here. Now, some of you might just see this as a bunch of gobbledygook, and honestly, so do I. But This is basically what this means is that it's a very ripe atmosphere for tornadoes to develop, very high convective available potential energy, meaning that if storms fire up, there's a lot of energy for them to work with. High shear values, which is a good thing for these storms. Now, when we talk about hurricanes, we say, oh, well, it's got a lot of shear in the way, so it's going to kill it off. Tornadoes like shear. It's the opposite of hurricanes. They need higher shear for them to intensify because that means more rotation higher up in the troposphere, which allows them to basically rotate faster and become stronger. And you can see that here in this autograph right here. There's a lot of change right here with wind and height, and it also increases in speed. You can see it's pretty close to, not really all that strong up here, but then it gets, or at least down here, and then it gets really strong as it begins to skirt out right here up towards hurricane force, even up towards the top of the troposphere. So that means about 59 knots right here of wind shear, and that's I guess the only thing holding this back a little bit is that the shear isn't ridiculous. It's high, but it's not ridiculous. Sometimes with these other severe weather events, the shear is just it's way above 100 knots, and it's insane. This one not as much. You can also see here there's a lot of difference between this dashed purple line and this red line, which basically means a lot of changes between the instability. So that means very high instability. So for air parcels to rise freely and without trouble, so that they can become more unstable aloft. That's basically what that means. And then you can see up here drier air up towards the middle and upper troposphere, and that basically means that there's a bit of a dew point contrast up here, and that allows for more, I guess, friction within the atmosphere, and that allows for convection to also begin to rise freely. And yeah, I mean, all of this right here is just indicative of a classic severe weather outbreak. As you can see in this model right here, it all just breaks out,
Wow,
and then evolves in more of a squall line, and then moves through portions of Oklahoma, North Texas, and even parts of southern Kansas as well, and another little area up here in Missouri as well.
We've got a new flash flood warning that's in effect right now for northern Oklahoma. For this region here, lots of locations involved, over 100,000 in the zone along the I-35 corridor there, up towards the border with Kansas. So that's a flash flood warning until 6:45 p.m. Central Time. Avoid walking or driving through floodwaters. That should be obvious, yet we still see people who don't heed that information and move immediately to higher ground. It's a flash flood warning. This can really creep up on you very quickly when the rain falls.
Yeah, because you can see in this one right here, there's a pretty widespread area of heavy rain associated with this, and an embedded severe thunderstorm warning along with it. And all this right here basically saying that this cell is producing some very heavy rains, and that's falling in a very short period of time. And even the warning itself said that there was, let's see, what did it say the rain rate was? Up to 2 inches of rain may have already fallen or imminent. So 2 inches of rain already, and this hasn't even been around for probably an hour. So that means that there's going to be some very, very strong rain rates with some of these cells. And because, again, like I went back, like let's go back to that really
I
that
just want to
really
instead
quick.
say the tornado warning further south there, that's continuing until 4:15 Central Time. An observed tornado there that covers Crescent and Lovell up towards Orlando there as well.
Yeah, this cell right here to the south of this flash flood warning right here. Yeah, this is pretty much the main tornado that we have confirmed right now. Not the only one, but it's the one that's the strongest right here. Oh wow, okay. Those velocity values really shot up. That's about 105 miles an hour right there. So that's an EF1, and actually that might not even be the highest. See, oh, that actually, never mind, 115 right there. So that's a pretty strong couplet right there. Probably producing an EF1, EF2 tornado right there to the east or the west of Crescent, and then moving up towards the Marshall area eventually. Now, what I was just going to mention briefly is that the precipitable water as well in this area is very high. That's why, and this is just back to this full flash flood thing. So that means there's a lot of water in the atmosphere that can be rained out very quickly. So that's why some of these sometimes these cells, it may indicate some lighter rain that's actually falling. Like right here, it's about rain rates of maybe about half an inch an hour associated with this, but because there's so much precipitable water in the atmosphere, this may be 1 to 2 inches per hour, maybe, and associated with these cells. So sometimes they may look like it's just an average downpour, but in reality, it's actually much more torrential than you may actually think. So that's basically what all that precipitable water nonsense, I guess, means. Where the radar just jostled. Also, if anyone else wants to speak, go ahead. I'm getting tired of hearing my own voice.
I was just reading through some stuff here. Just another mention. Actually, David, did you have some news about that Crescent tornado?
I think that was the confirmed tornado. I'm just going back through the information.
It was, but you've said here that it's produced at least 2 brief tornadoes.
That's media. I think one of the local TV stations.
Right.
I'm just looking for it, Nathan, and that flash flood warning, as you mentioned.
Severe thunderstorm warning covering Lubbock, Texas, right now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
so
NBC.
North.
NBC Oklahoma City. Confirmed.
Let me see that.
Sorry,
Okay.
David, this news is more important. There's a lot more people involved in this severe thunderstorm warning right now.
Yes.
Quarter-sized hail possible. Winds up to 50 miles an hour. This until 4:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
Yeah, this is moving right towards, or maybe just east of the Lubbock area, and that hail core. Let me just get. Also, that's a really well-defined alpha boundary. Little weather nerdy this right there, but y'all don't really care, so I'll move on.
I care.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a hail core. Probably 2-inch diameter hail with that moving into the Lubbock area. That can cause some very significant structural damage that isn't already protected. Let's see. The quarter-size hail, as they say. That hail core is definitely bigger than quarter size, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's more like baseball. Even with that sort of signature, I would not be surprised. And that will be moving into the Lubbock area. It is currently about 15 miles away from Lubbock, but it will be there probably within the next half hour, if not earlier. So anyone in the Lubbock area, start covering up anything that you may not want to be damaged by hail, I guess, and just head inside for some shelter. This is not producing a tornado. This is not a tornadic supercell. This is going to be just a very large hail event and some strong winds associated with this. So again, anyone in Lubbock, just take the precautions that I just mentioned to you.
All right.
Let me just add real quick that this hail core looks like that hail core might actually just miss to the east of downtown Lubbock, but still looks possible that it could hit downtown. But so if anyone is in the Lubbock area, like in downtown Lubbock, please please get indoors and make sure that you have any valuables that you have outside. Make sure you bring those indoors, because this could cause some damage.
It's pronounced Lubbock, but yeah, this is going to be a pretty significant hail core, either moving over Lubbock and just east. Now, fortunately, a lot of people that live in Lubbock are Texas Tech students, and they're out for the summer. So there aren't as many people in the city as there are during most of the year, but still there are quite a few people in Lubbock regardless. So anyone who's living in that area you need to be taking just your basic precautions. Make sure you get everything that you don't want to be damaged by hail covered, and anything that could be possibly blown by very strong winds, bring that inside. The rain is starting to pick up, so make sure that you do this very quick, because it could be coming down pretty quickly there within the next couple of minutes. So just do it as quickly as possible.
We had a couple other questions here. Anything in South Nebraska yet?
Southern Nebraska, not much. Just some rain. rain.
What is the
That's
likelihood
about it.
of an EF4 or higher tornado today? That's another question.
Pretty high.
Yep, pretty high.
I mean, if there is a day for an EF4 tornado, of all days, it's today. Not necessarily now, but later on, as we get in towards the evening hours, it is very likely that we will see at least one EF4, EF5 tornado somewhere within this portion of Oklahoma right here. Again, these cells are likely to be long-tracked, violent tornadoes as they move through Oklahoma and even portions of northwest Texas, as we mentioned earlier, and is going to be very likely going to be a serious event for a lot of people, millions of people potentially. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of the stream, this is going to possibly be one of these days that we look back on and remember, oh yeah, this tornado. We won't know what the tornado of the day will be. There's always the tornado. We don't know what it will be today, and we won't know until tomorrow what the tornado of the day will be.
Yeah.
Then again, we may actually not. So.
Well, but there is the situation at large. How many tornadoes, suspected tornadoes now? Actually, no, we've just had a new tornado warning just over the border into Oklahoma now. Hollis, Gould, and McQueen until 4:45.
This is in association with the cell that is just to the south of Childress. Velocity values on this cell right here, if it'll load, that's very tight knit. That's about about 100 miles an hour with that one right there. In addition to this one farther north, that's about, looks like there might even be two couplets with this one. That's bizarre. So yeah, this one is going to be an interesting evolution because there's not one but two couplets within this one supercell. Very, very bizarre. That will be moving into this tornado warned area. Again, for the communities of Hollis and Gould, you need to be taking your precautions, as there may be not one but two tornadoes moving through your county within the next couple of hours. So it is going to be, and yeah, again, not one but two. That's basically what's going on with that one there. This one northeast of Wellington. Let's check up on that one. Velocity values are not impressive, but there's definitely a couplet there. Potentially a tornado on the ground there. The cell near Quail, even less impressive.
We'll catch up on that after this. Stay tuned. We'll have more coverage on the other side of the hour. We're just regrouping here at HQ. Our live coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website, force13.com, our YouTube page, youtube.com/Force13, on Facebook under the same name, Force13, and our Twitter handle, it's @Force13 if you wish to get in touch. You can also add Force13 on Skype, and my personal account on Discord, Fool13, at extension 9094.